Welcome back to Mufc Realist TV and Beat the Press.
Okay, let's go.
What's going on, people? The 2-0 victory against Wigan in the FA Cup third round showcases Manchester United's biggest flaws this year. Why? You see, United only scored twice out of 30 chances, and one of them was actually a penalty. And that is a ratio of 1 from 32 apart. It's still the worst. I mean, you just look at it. It's a theme. The Champions League campaign accepted. United are 7th on shots in the Premier League, but also outscored Burnley and Sheffield United. They only have few shots on target. They slip to the 11th in the particular table, and too few of those goes in. And to turn it around, even make it worse, too few of those goals come from the men who's supposed to score the goals, the attackers or the strikers. Now United's chance conversion rate 7% is the second lowest in the Premier League. Let that sink in. Only Sheffield United have taken smaller share of the opportunities. Below average, one might say. Below average. We fans have been calling it out, and with the caveat of the penalties are excluded from such as statistics. And Marcus Rashford has taken far few percentage of his chances in the top flight, comparing from last year. And Bruno Fernandes has been bang average as well this season. Rasmus Højlund is on 5, and Alejandro Garnacho scored a beautiful bicycle kick, made the fans giddy. But the major problem is still there. We don't simply score goals. What is the problem? What is the fundamental problem with Manchester United this season? What is wrong with Marcus Rashford, who struck 30 times last season, but only this year has registered 2 goals, hardly any assists? Ten Hag sometimes suggests in the comments that I play with what I got. I don't play the Hags Style, I play the United way. Ten Hag, how can you fix it? Let's discuss this with my panel and featuring Vicky Witterbird. Enjoy the show. Was that even a pen, Vic?
No, it wasn't really, but
It was a soft
do you
one.
know what? Do you know how many penalty decisions that Man United don't get? I'll just take it. You know,
100%.
I'm sick of, you know,
Dividend on that one, yeah.
if you really want to just listen to Klopp and Arteta and scare VAR, and Man United just keep their mouth shut and don't object to anything, so we don't get anything. So I'm just fine with keeping it the way it's like it is, like that. But yeah, I'll just let that happen. It gives Wigan the out, doesn't it? Oh, but they shouldn't have had a penalty, so they feel like winners. We actually won. There we go. Everybody's fine.
Yeah,
I think
get some positive responses here. Big up Witterbird. Vicky is a 10. Hi, Vicky. What people are saying? Good to see you, debutante, coming in here. Looking forward.
I'm a bit of an old bird, you know.
Nobody's put me down as a 10. Jesus, bloody hell,
Okay,
what's going on?
guys, put a voting
I'd put
poll.
you down as a 10, but
I know you do, sweetheart. Thank you for that.
Okay,
If
should
you
we do a
like-
poll on that one?
No, don't do a
no,
poll
we
on
should
that.
not.
No,
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I would.
But I tell you what, it's what I think is quite annoying is McTominay. It's just he's always at the front line. I always find Delo's always at the front line, where they shouldn't be. They should be doing what they're meant to be doing, and that's being in the back 4. Delo should be in the back 4, passing balls forwards to forwards,
Yeah,
and
100%.
McTominay should be actually defending for a change. You know, that's what his job is. I mean, I did have a bit of a gripe of why I would rather have kept Fred than McTominay, but I know why we sold Fred, because he wasn't a lot of money, and we did just want to get rid of at least some midfielders. And McTominay was money, but the whole West Ham was just a pain in the backside. So
I agree with you.
No, I think it's come up a lot, actually. We spoke about it last week. Somebody mentioned it, didn't they? I think, Mark, you were on when somebody mentioned about Fred. Was it you that mentioned it, actually, Mark?
Yeah, I was one that mentioned Fred also wanted to leave.
Yeah.
You know, and he was the one that actually the team was willing to play, and he was willing to go for less money. It was one of those things. I didn't like that, actually. I think McTominay should have been out of here, just like Marcus Rashford should have been out of here since 21-22 season.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's be honest. Like, if you look at this, he's the most senior attacker at the squad right now, being at in the team 9 years right now. right? So our young attackers, they don't have anyone they could look up to, and they certainly can't look up to Marcus Rashford because he's basically the epitome of inconsistency. One season he ever scored more than 20 Premier League goals, and we're like, oh, let's give him a big contract. I think that was the worst thing we could ever do, because to me, the only time he ever plays well is when he has to sign his contract. It happened four seasons before.
I don't know if it is just like Rashford is more of a confidence player that you just don't see. The fact that he is a bit like Son and stuff like that he needs confidence. Like he needs goals to make goals, to score goals, right? I don't know if that might be the case. I think, you know, he does all the extra pre-seasons and things. I think I mean, fair dues, there's been a bit going on with his personal life, but this is similar sort of season than 21-22, where he had so much going on in the background. Then he has this season. I think obviously, what was it? His cousin died. He broke up with his girlfriend and things like that. You don't know how much this is affecting him backstage in life. Erik ten Hag certainly hasn't got like he's dropped his confidence in him, but he has admitted that he's lost confidence. Bruno obviously when he gave him the penalty has admitted that he's lost confidence. There must be something slightly to do with that. I don't think it's a big contract thing.
Yeah, but there is a player. I agree with you. And just coming back to what you said earlier, like I 100% agree with you. I rather kept Fred and shipped off Scott McTominay. At least Fred is like that Forrest Gump, life of box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get, but at least you get that grit, that dog on the bone, like, you know, that will always chase and hunt. And that's what we're missing in that midfield. Like, you know, whenever you have Scott McTominay on, we're lacking absolutely no creativity. Like, I mean, if you're going to play with a single CDM and then two number 8s, then you might as well you're playing with one midfielder, because Bruno is Bruno. Bruno is just a free roaming, creating. That's what he does. Like, you know, open spaces, find some good passes. But McTominay doesn't provide anything. What McTominay is like a Lipizan horse that will just, you know, you find McTominay's feet and he will go and try to slot it in. Like, that's why I call him a spot player. But yet again, like, you know, I'm just surprised that why he's still in the squad. Yeah, he's a Mancunian. Yes, he understands the DNA. Yes, he came from the academy. Yes, but is that the reason to keep him in the squad? No, it's not. Right?
You definitely want him there for talking about the badge.
True.
A bit like Delo. Yeah, Delo and McTominay, great badge speakers. To be fair, I do both think they want to be really good players, even though they're not polished at all. But he's just too chaotic. You cannot, if you have to pair up with him as a midfielder, you do not know what you're going to be able to handle and deal with. Saying what he's going to do and actually doing what he's going to do is two different stories. So.
It do my head. Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned that they're badge players, though. They talk about a badge. When you listen to Dallo's interview a few days ago, he was talking about his greatest achievement was making the first team at Manchester United. I'll be like, Jesus, really? That's not good enough for me. That's, as a player, that is not good enough for me. Forget making the first team. I want to see your trophy cabinet, because that's what it's all about. It's winning.
He's just tired. He's just tired. They just had a baby. He's just tired. He's not thinking.
Is that what he was it? He certainly wasn't thinking properly there, because for me, that's not what you want to hear, is it? Not as a fan, not as a player. As a player, you want to hear, right, I'm going to rip somebody's head off to get over that line and win that trophy. That's what you need. That's how I like it. And I think you're right, Vic. That's what I was getting at. You're 100% right about them being badge players, but not what we would class as a badge player. You know. And
what the other thing you're not actually trying to take on, they've all got something going on right now, all dipping in confidence, dipping in not realizing the start of play, injuries, everything. It's not like half of them have just gone through a series, a lot of managers. As much as they are professionals and they do get paid a lot of money and they're there to do this, they're also just trying to cope with as many things that are going on in the background as well as in forwards. And I know their job is just to get out there and play, but there's just too much. I mean,
Can
you can't
elaborate on?
you can't. It feels like a form of EastEnders. So you can't all run your businesses if you've got so much dum-dums going on.
True.
Sorry for the
True.
people that don't know what EastEnders are.
But on the other hand, I can
managers to let them
reiterate.
not play games, because at the same time, I understand that they might have things going on in their life, and like, I'm not going to criticize them for that. But if you know you're not 100%, you shouldn't be there, because then you're taking the chance away from someone else, and then you're taking away the chance for Manchester United fans to win games. And it's more important than them.
Yeah.
It's the team.
And I understand that, and they are going through inconsistent amount of plays, and you're 100% right. But the one thing is, players today weren't players like yesterday. I think they're really not. They're just not, and they are dealing. Oh my god, I don't like that. Like,
you know the interesting thing about that is, and you're right, that we've got injuries, but I tell you something, guys. If I'm a bench player at Manchester United and I get in, I'm staying in. I'm doing everything.
I'm staying in. Stay in the game.
That fucking starting 11. I'm doing everything. I'm going to put some ridiculous tackles in. I'm going to wind up the crowd. I'm going to wind up the opposition crowd. I'm going to run for 90 minutes, 95 minutes. I'm going to tackle hard. I'm going to pass accurately. I'm going to run with speed. I'm going to do everything I can so that when I walk off that pitch, I'm looking at the gaffer and I'm winking at him, because I know I'm playing on Wednesday night. That's what you've got to do. You have to do that.
This team now isn't going to be the team next season, because it's not. Because it's all changing now, and it literally is changing.
Yeah.
But in a way, I can go back to when we started this stream to say that you can moan and bitch about that they are trying to manscape the squad, to shave the squad, but isn't that something that we've been crying out for? But all I want to do is to get rid of the right players that needs to go, right? And definitely recruiting people with mentality, ballers with mentality. Now, when it comes down to, yes, when you work in a toxic environment in an organization, when everything is rotten from it comes down from the leadership. Trust me, it goes down all the way to the mailroom, the receptionist as well. There is no cohesion, there's no togetherness, there's no feel-good factor, right, in an organization. And I don't. You can also say that Rashford, I don't know. I don't really care. If you have something going on in the person, you are actually employed to play football, to perform. You're wearing the badge. You're representative of Manchester United. There's certain standards you should carry. Yet, because you were best mates with Jadon Sancho and you don't like the manager treating him that way, so you're going to down tool. It looks like, I don't really respect what the manager did to my best friend, kind of thing, right? It's the player power. But I'm just concerned that we are actually looking to get rid of the wrong players instead of getting rid of the ones that don't really belong here. In all glory, I like Rashford.
Wait a minute.
Don't have anything.
So when you say that, do you mean you don't want to get rid of Casemiro, but you know that they want to get rid of Casemiro because of his wages?
He's got two years left on his contract. What I'm saying, that I like Casemiro, and I would love. Extension. Yeah, the reason why I like to keep Casemiro is because of the development of Kobe Mainoo. That's what I'm saying. He's the perfect
100%.
And Dango.
Yeah.
So he's the perfect role model for young Kobe Mainoo to, because he won a lot of things. He won shit. You know what I mean? He's the only one that's won things in the entire squad together with Varane, right? If you really look at it, if you analyze it. But I just don't want the club to get rid of the players that could be there, in the transition while we're bleeding in the young kids. But what is Rashford going to offer you? Nothing. What is Scott McTominay going to offer, as a role model? Yes, maybe, as what you said, they're good ambassadors. They're speaking the language of the club, but it's all about performance on the pitch, which is not good enough for me, right? True, we have an aging squad. True, we have to trim that bush or whatever to make the yard look bigger, or you know what I mean, the Manscaped slogan. But I'm just a little bit it's unprecedented times for me. Like, so it's what you say, the squad that we're seeing today, Vic, we don't even know what the squad is going to look like in the summer or next year. And that is a little bit exciting, though.
It's exciting, but curious at the same time, because there are certain players in there that really should be absolutely chomping at the bit to want to stay a Manchester United player. And I know I'm old school. I know I'm, a 70s guy. I know I grew up in the rough and tumble 80s and 90s where football was a men's game, so to speak. And it has changed completely. Even Wigan didn't really put it on us tonight, did they? There was no rough and tumble play against us. They tried to stand up to us physically, and they could have out-muscled us on more than one occasion. But they did try and play football. I just feel that there will be a squad change. Next season there will be certain players, but you've got to keep the likes of Casemiro, because Kobe Mino should be in awe of him. Dangor, I agree with Mark, by the way. Dangor's a very, very special talent. It's a great player, and we've got the makings of a really strong, solid midfield for the next 8 to 10 years, depending on what we do with these guys and what you do. And when you bring your next midfielder in, you have to bring them in so they're spirited together nicely with Maino and Gore. That's your key element of recruitment now. This is why, I spoke about the need for Dave Brailsford first and foremost, and not the need for Ashworth just at the minute. And Mitchell. Yes, we need people like Ashworth and Mitchell, but you need somebody who's got that vision to be able to bring in the right players. Football is about, and me and Mark have spoken about this a lot, football is about not how good you are on the pitch, it's how good you are up here as well.
Mentally.
And where you fit in, and the recruitment now, those two in particular are going to need to have the right body around them of experience, and just to be able to guide them for the next 2 to 3 years. And then before we know it, they'll be guiding somebody else. They'll be guiding younger players, and it's massively important, and it gets forgotten about. It really does.
You mentioned something, you touched something that I'm a big advocate of, and that is all about mentality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you look around outside football, like, what Vicky was saying, footballers are not the same ilk as what it used to be. Like, they don't, if you take the likes of, Ronaldo, Messi, I think we've seen the last of that era, like, because football is just paying for the paycheck at the moment.
I don't know.
They don't really...
I got a funny feeling Garnacho's going to take a leaf out their book.
Yeah, I think so. Viva Garnacho. But what I'm trying to say,
I would speak about a player that I think would do that, but
yeah.
He's
what I'm trying to say
right
is,
now.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is the money has unfortunately destroyed the people's. Once you get paid the big wages, you don't really care, because in a way, how you perform, you sign that contract 3-4 years, and you're gonna pay 300K a week anyway. You just have to rock up the training, do a little bit of flicks and tricks, and if you do bad, you still get picked, or not picked, but you're still getting paid, right? Because the football career is very short, right? So money has changed the mentality of players, and that's why I believe that you should actually lower down the wage bill, put a cap on 200 max, and put a retainer, or kind of like a bonus. Okay, if you do X, Y, Z, say similar like as if you're in a work environment and you're a salesperson, you get like 60-40, like you get a 60% in base salary and 40% of achievable sales targets, and that is the way I see it. If you look around in the rival clubs, hey, Liverpool don't pay that good, Arsenal don't play that good either.
No, well, Liverpool are very good at their transactions, but I blame 2005 Chelsea and Mansur from Man City with his 115 charges. Them two are just like made things completely impossible to own that wage caps.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, Chelsea have changed the landscape of football twice, haven't they? A, when Abramovich bought them, and B, when they were sold for $2.5 billion. And City have changed the landscape for 115 reasons, which we know about. But the interesting thing that you talk about mentality, and you look at around, the players, and you look at, I look at a lot of these players, and I think to myself, if I'm in the trenches and we're really up against it, FA Cup final, it's 0-0, 85 minutes to go. I'm going to Cantona who's going to take one chance and stick it away. There's no Van Nistelrooy I can cross the ball to and he's going to pop it in and we're going to win it. There's no Norman Whiteside back in the day. There's no Steve Bruce to keep it out at the at our end. There's no Schmeichel to keep the ball out. There's no Gary Neville to, to put a crunching tackle in with, at 90 minutes. None of that is happening in our team today. And as much as we despise Liverpool, you got Van Dijk who'll put it about, you've got Robertson who'll put it about, you've got Jota who'll put it about, City, you've got, bloody Foden, that little crowd. I hate Foden.
Oh, God, I don't like Foden. I hate him.
No, Silva puts it about, Rodri puts it about, Tottenham, they got Højbjerg that'll stick it in. There are players in Richarlison, he'll dive and he'll do the dark arts. There are players in each team, apart from ours, that have got the ability and the wherewithal and the mental capacity to win games of football. Yeah. And this is where we have to be careful.
You know what's most irritate me, when I watch our rivals play, when I watched the Arsenal game versus Liverpool, we used to be like attack, like Arsenal were going at it from minute one, but they couldn't finish. Yeah. And then Liverpool is the kind of the old of Sir Alex Ferguson, you hang in there, never say die, and always finish strong at the end of the game. You always know that there is, even if we're not playing well, we're going to win the game, right? That is the kind of feeling that I miss with Manchester United at the moment, right? Yeah. Currently today, the way I was seeing, we were just passing the ball, knocking it around, but no attacking threat, there's no intricacy of play to actually attack, It's like we don't have the ability, or we're afraid to lose the ball and concede, right?
Yeah. So there is a little bit of is that just because of the injury crisis and the inconsistent back four, the lack of midfield? Is that what's going on, or do you actually think that that's an actual big issue that's going to continue for the rest of the season?
I think you're talking about a collective insecurity, because it's kind of a little bit of a virus that spreads in a work environment. When you work in a team in a job, and all it takes is some bad elements that affects the whole team, right? And that's the thing, right? So that's why I'm always Mick, talking about.
My question is when Casemiro comes back, when Martinez comes back, even when Maguire comes back, is this going to be something that you're going to find
inspiring?
Still an issue? Do you still think it's going to still be an issue?
I don't think so, because according to my opinion, these are the backbones that we are missing, like Licha and Casemiro. If you look at last season, that was the spine, that was the Bermuda Triangle. We were building around Licha, Varane, and Casemiro, and that was the triangle in the build-up play. We haven't had that, right? Yeah. So, and then we had a lot of injuries. We know the story, but still, you as a manager, you got to play with what you got, and win games. But the only thing that I'm criticizing in is one single player, Maxas, and why is he playing? Right? He's there basically. We wanted to sell him in the summer. We wanted to sell Maguire in the summer. They got lucky because of all this injuries, so therefore they're getting game time. But I don't believe they will still be here next summer.
I think Maguire goes in the summer. I think Maguire goes in the summer, but I think, in all fairness to Harry M, he's done really, really well this season. He's had a bad couple of seasons, but he's pulled his finger out and he's done really, really well. I think, in answer to your question, Vic, I think having Casemiro and having Licha back will add a tiny bit of steel, but you're only adding a tiny bit of steel. You're adding maybe 25-30% worth of steel.
But that steel ended up getting Rashford goals. Even just having Shaw back, if you had Shaw back, that would be great as well. I personally feel if you had those three players back, then it'd be Rashford is scoring goals. Højlund then feels like Rashford's going to pass to Højlund again. It's just going to be like that, rather than have a mannequin as someone that you're going to try and have in there.
There is going to be a tipping point for sure. There is.
I just want to pose a question on what you said about Rashford needing Shaw, and this is the thing that's kind of weird for me, right? Rashford needs someone else to make him play better, right? We never used to say that for Cristiano Ronaldo or maybe even a guy like, let's say, like a Paul Scholes or even
Cristiano
like
Ronaldo
another
needed
winger.
Rooney. But
Yeah, but
Cristiano
in a
Ronaldo
way,
needed
but
Rooney.
but at the same time, it's like, look how bad he is. Even if Rooney didn't play, Ronaldo would still have a good game, right?
So are we
I
talking
have not
about the
seen a
second
good game
time
from
Ronaldo?
Rashford all season.
Are we talking first time or second time with Ronaldo?
It don't matter which turn, because in my honest opinion, I think is like, you're still talking chalk
Well,
and cheese.
Cristiano
If I give
Ronaldo needed
Ronaldo
Rooney.
if
He
I
needed
give
Rooney,
Ronaldo
but
all these
Yeah, he
opportunities
needed Rooney.
Rashford get this season, I think he scores them. Whether it's old Ronaldo or young Ronaldo, I think in terms of my
Most
opinion is
forwards
that.
do need someone to link up with play, though.
true,
If I'm not
true.
wrong.
But I mean,
I
like,
mean,
there's other
second,
players on the team.
Yeah,
Because
I
in
know
my
what
opinion,
Mark's
Luke Shaw
saying.
might not be staying at the club much longer. I mean, he's been a good player. He's been a stalwart at the club, but with his latest
Well, yeah,
injury,
you have to fill a
but the
different
reports
hole.
are that he has this muscle atrophy thing that's at stage 3. So it's not like if he probably going to be here another season. This might be his
It's to
last
do
season.
with it's to do with his broken
But
leg.
there's
It's muscle issues
yeah.
with it around.
But there's two different things that we're talking about here. There's one that we were talking about Cristiano Ronaldo being the striker and everybody was just leading the ball to him, like we did with Robin van Persie and also with Rude. This is a different format of play now, and it is pressing and regarding on other sides of both forwards. So I don't see why the comparison needs to be made in this situation, because it's all about the pressing and getting the hookups from the back and from midfield being creative. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm fine with being wrong, but it's a different style of play these days, isn't it?
Yeah, I can see, but I mean, we're more selfish, aren't we, Mark, with the wingers than what we were when Rooney was playing Ronaldo and Rude and Tevez. And actually, what we don't do, and what we should do, and I talk about this a lot, is we don't interchange at all. Garnacho sticks out on the right tonight, Rashford sticks out on the left, and Højlund sticks in the middle. What's wrong with Højlund popping out to the left for 10 minutes in a game? And what's wrong with changing? And when you've got Rude, when you've got Ronaldo, Rooney, you can change. You could have that formidable front three that changed all the time, and that's why we were so good up front at that particular time. And I'd just like to see a bit more fluidity.
That comes back to, Vicky has a point. The football has changed. It's more about pressing. It's more about, defending as 11, attack as 11, play as a team. We don't do that. We don't press enough anymore. I haven't seen us press for a while. We don't even, for the past 6 years, we've been crying out to have the prolific number 9, but we don't feed the number 9 with chances. So it's always been a graveyard shift. The other day when I was watching Arsenal, excuse me for mentioning, but they were playing like beautiful football, like one-touch passes. There was tempo, there was movement. We don't move. We're like mannequins, right? So in today's game, I was watching it. In today's game, I was watching it, and I was watching for movement, and there was no movement whatsoever. Like first, I was frustrating. Like come on, movement, because when you're playing one-touch football, you have to always move. Like you always have to be available.
I was making the comparison because I was saying, like, back then we had 3 forward players who their objective was to score a goal. It doesn't matter which one of them was scoring the goal, but the objective was to score. But if you look at our front line in particular right now, the objective is not to score a 1 goal. The objective is for who is going to be the hero today. You know what I mean? And and for me, that's not based on the fact that football changed. That's based on the player not being a team player, right? Because I feel like if he was a team player and he passed the ball more, because like 9 out of 10 times we watched the game tonight, we had 32 chances in front of goal, right? And if you look at some of these shots Rashford took, players literally standing right in front of him. It's not like if the ball was going to teleport through the player or anything like that. So in my opinion, it's like decision making.
You have to excuse me. We have Football Power Hour. He's on mute. I don't know if he's alive.
Yeah,
I'm
trying to figure out.
I'm alive. I'm listening to the conversation and enjoying it while I'm on a walk.
Let's hear your opinion on that, Papi, because you see, I'm not trying to be like Rashford centric.
It is, yes.
I'm not trying to be like Rashford centric, but I'm just saying that I feel like our forwards need a different mindset when it comes
Aubrey,
to attacking
talk
in
to
front
us.
of the goal. It should be any one of us can score. It don't matter who.
Okay.
So yes, I agree. It feels like our forwards, they have a certain sort of like selfishness, and we're you know, like we always talk, we hear this phrase a lot, moments FC, and we are partially the creators of that situation, because look at our wingers. Our wingers sort of have this selfish mentality of sort of wanting to be the hero, and of course we want heroes in the team, but like if if our attackers always looked for the extra pass in the box, we would simplify things so much. Marcus Rashford taking a shot when you're what does that mean? Like when there's like two players in front of you and you're still shooting, it means Rashford believes like some of these players must be like Casper the Ghost or something, like the ball is gonna go through them, and it doesn't make sense how many times. Oh, that's slippery. It doesn't make sense how many times we we we
Watch out, man.
try to force things. We force things so much, and I just want you know, like the thing how when you watch how Tadic used to play, how Ajax was playing under Ten Hag, it was like the forwards always found each other. And I just miss that football. It just feels like we complicate things for ourselves too much, and that's why we're having Hoyland today. Like, you know, he's starving. He needs to be learning how to do better on headers. You know, we need to keep crossing a little bit, like more. You know, trying to use his aerial ability more, and we don't do that. Our wingers are just, you know, inside forwards. They're not really wingers. We need wingers who can cross.
Does that mean in general, not just only wingers, and we're looking at the midfield and the wingers in attack, there always used to be a chemistry that, you know, you always know where you have each other, no matter what. Like I know that, you know, Berbatov is going to run there, like I'll just flick it over there, X, Y, Z. We don't have that. It looks like we don't even know each other on the pitch.
We don't know each other. You remember there was that moment when Hoyland actually was, he drilled a cross just to the near post. If somebody was there, like there's not that that chemistry, that connection, that I know that when you have the ball in this position in the box, I'm gonna be here. Look for me in this area. That's how teammates play. That's how guys that train together, they make these patterns. They kind of create these, you know, telepathic understandings. You know, Mick is mentioning how the Arsenal touch and move. It's like they've been practicing that, and it shows on the pitch, and we don't see that in our club, and we're complicating things. And football feels like, yes, it's changed. Fullbacks are used differently, etc. Building up from the back, we're seeing that a lot more in the Premier League than ever. But we're also just making it difficult for ourselves. You know, that's my thought on that topic.
They're not bowling out to their abilities. That's what I'm trying to say. They are too nervous to make mistakes, so they just play it safe, you know. But we know there's.
I do have that question, you know, with Eric Ramsey, where he's meant to be helping out with set plays, and he just seems to completely neglect corners and forward set plays. He seems to be working with the back four, but the back four are always injured, so he never gets to consistently work with the back four either.
No, true that.
Do you think that might be the case when it comes to Eric Ramsey?
I just think Eric Ramsey needs to
get rid of him and find someone else.
I think he needs to be fired. Like, since we fired Oli, we should have fired all the coaching staff that he brought with him, because they are all rubbish.
Yeah,
we've evolved into a hybrid system. So we do a mix of zonal marking and a mix of man marking. It's the most ridiculous system I've ever seen. And I don't like zonal marking anyway. You know, as a centre half, you should always man mark, because you can get hold of your player then, and then you know, so if the player runs off,
you should also, as a midfielder, you should have zonal awareness as well, like, you know, 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
You know?
Oh, don't, because if you say that, then I'm going to upset my husband here. He's not really my husband; he's just my online husband.
YouTube husband.
Where I go, like, you know, Maguire, he can't scan for no one.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, she does. I have to close my ears up to that one. Just a quick one on what Pappy was saying about the Hoyland in particular. He's absolutely right, Pappy, is because, and the reason all this is happening is because the crosses aren't coming in. Hoyland isn't able to time his run. So if Hoyland's between the two centre halves, as soon as that ball gets wrapped, Hoyland should be on his bike. He should be ready. And he should be a yard or 2 yards ahead of the two centre halves. That would give him a clean header. He's not quite there yet. He doesn't quite understand the timing of where he needs to be as the ball's delivered. He needs to work on that. But we don't cross the ball anyway, so he's never going to work on his timing. But Pappy, you're right.
He has got a very, very big point when it comes to very selfish forwards.
Oh yeah.
Garnacho, I'll forgive Garnacho because he's so young, and I think Bruno's the one that's always going to be saying that you shouldn't be doing it, and who's the one who's going to be drilling it into him from the future.
Garnacho, at least
Anthony is probably the weirdest one out of the bunch, where he just can't. He always has to stick to that left foot of his. It's like the right foot doesn't exist. Every time he goes forward, he keeps on making delirious shots off target or on target because he won't pass to anybody else. You know, I feel like he's lost all his confidence, so he's just going, "Oh, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do on my own." And because Erik ten Hag loves him, he's just getting to do it. But at this moment in time, he's favouring Rashford.
Which is good.
He's been told, or is this because he's third on the list of the wages? He's an asset player. He's been told you have to play Rashford because he's the poster boy. Maybe,
but it's a figure. If you look at it, it's like a figure of 8 when it comes to our forwards. Everyone's going round in an 8, but nothing's going into the goal, and that's the problem. And it's exposing Hoyland, potentially exposing Martial if you actually want to pretend that he's there. That's the problem.
True.
No, it is exposing them.
Yep, it certainly is. And this is the end of this podcast. Oh, I want to hear from you. What do you think is the problem with Manchester United? Do you agree with the panel? And what would you apply for solution? Sell them all? I don't know. You let me know. But I want to hear from you as a viewer. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you agree with what the panel is saying? And if not, leave your comment and suggestion. It's been Mick here from Mufc Realist TV together with my panel, having our say, and hopefully we made you a better day. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to this video, and we should see you to the next one. Bye for now.